everyone. We're doing a Let's Play of Duskers, which is a PC game that is in early access on Steam right now. It's been there for about the last month. The developer did a Let's Play of it right when it first hit early access, and it just kind of caught my eye. It's a little bit of an odd game, and I really like just the mechanics and the way that it's set up. So the premise of the game is you're on your ship and you've discovered that everybody else in at least the surrounding area seems to have died. So there's all these derelict ships floating around, and there's some messages that have been left behind by Captain Gene Vogel, I think, who's just kind of moving ahead. That's kind of how the story progresses as you discover chat logs or messages he left behind. So you come across all these derelict ships, and the main gameplay is you dock with these ships and you go looking for scrap. And since you can't go on there personally, you have to control these drones. And you can bring up to 4 on a mission with you. They give you there's like 2 different options for viewing and playing the game. You kind of have to switch between both in order to actually do everything you need to do. So there's like a top-down view, it's called drone view, that just follows one drone around. You can control them with the keys, like the keypad, but you still have to give him most of the commands are actually done through like a command line interface. You can't just there's no mouse interaction at all, so you can't click on things. And the keypad to drive him around is the only real way to move things in drone view. Everything else is done through the command line. And so the other view is schematic view, which is kind of like just a map of the entire ship you're looking at. And you can issue commands there to multiple drones, and it's really cool how you have to kind of type your way through everything. So we've got, this is version 0.26, which is kind of the new beta that just went up yesterday, I think. And there's some new features added to the options menu that are kind of exciting. I can't remember if all these graphics options were here before. I never really paid attention. I just set my graphics for high on the initial launcher and went from there. But it's kind of cool that they are there. Difficulty is what I'm actually interested in, though. So these wrecks that you come across they've been floating around for a while. Nobody's been maintaining the hulls or anything, so the longer they're out there, the more likely they are to have compromised hull integrity, and so rooms can flood with radiation as a result of that. So one of the difficulty options allows you to turn that on or off. The second option is vents. So there's also 4 enemy types in this game that you can run into so far. And so this is kind of a spoiler, but one of the enemy types is called the Swarm, and it can use these vents that appear throughout the ship to move from room to room without actually going through doors. So you can walk into a room, there's no enemies in it, all the doors are closed, you turn your back, and if there was a vent in there, it's possible for a swarm to just pop out of the vent and eat your drone. So it used to be really confusing because they weren't terribly well displayed graphically in the game, and I think maybe 1 or 2 iterations earlier, like 0.24 or 0.25 of the versions, had added a graphical overlay to both the schematic view and the drone view that displays, yes, there's a vent here. So that's kind of good, and you can turn those on or off. I'm not positive if that actually allows you to turn off Swarm. I would imagine not. It just turns the Swarm back into kind of a regular enemy. So the drones in small rooms option it used to be, well, I guess it still is if you leave it enabled. Sometimes like a drone can spawn in, like a dead or disabled drone can spawn in like a hallway and kind of block your ability to get past him. And I've never had that actually stop me from being able to explore the whole ship, but it has, it makes it so that you have to go through some extra rooms to get around him, which could be inconvenient. So you can turn that on or off. I'm going to leave them on. Easy starting galaxy. There's kind of like three so there's systems that fit inside galaxies, and the galaxies are inside the universe. So having an easy starting galaxy means the first galaxy you have will include like 6 or 8 systems that are all pretty easy. Each system has between, I think, like 5 and 10 ships that you can explore. And so you would explore ships until you run out of fuel, hop to the next system in the galaxy. So this makes the first probably 20 or so ships that you'll go to fairly easy, which allows you to really stock up on upgrades and drones before you start diving into more difficult stuff. So I had enabled that for this run through. For scrap is kind of like the currency of the game. You can have a normal amount, you can have 1.5 times the normal amount, or you can have half the normal amount. We'll leave that on normal, and your upgrades kind of deteriorate over time, and so this just breaking upgrades damage option allows you to modify the rate at which they break. They can break at kind of the base rate, they can break at half speed, or they can break at 1.5 times speed. So we're going to leave that on normal too. So we are one mission in on this game because I had started running this before and the game audio was too loud, so that was not good. But so we're here now, and I didn't want to start a completely new game after that because we got some nice things. One of them was a new drone, which had this shield upgrade that's on Brandon right now. And another thing was we started with an interface, which is probably the most powerful upgrade that you can get in the game. So you start typically with just 3 drones. I started with these first 3, Brandon, Robbie, and Tommy. The HP that they come with is random. So Tommy's kind of our weakling with 70 HP, which I think is the least I've seen anybody start with. Zach is our tank if he has all of his HP, with 20 or 120. I think the highest I've seen anything spawn with is 130, but you can actually add max HP by spending scrap. You can also, apparently the speed of the drones is random as well, which I didn't know until the dev mentioned it on a Let's Play he did yesterday. So your drones have 3 upgrade slots. Brandon right now is decked out with all 3. Everybody else is kind of in support roles. They've just got one thing that they can do. So you start the game with the 3 basic upgrades, which are Gather, Generator, and Tow. Gather allows you to pick up scrap or fuel from ships that you go investigate. Generator allows you to power up any power inlets that you come across, which allows you to open doors and close doors, interact with interface, or computer terminals rather. It's just pretty important to have a generator. There's only one other upgrade that allows you to open doors if you don't have a way of powering things. And Tow is the last basic upgrade. It allows you to tow either ship upgrades or disabled drones back to your ship, which is how we got Zach, because he was disabled and we saved him, and now we've added 10 HP to him, so he can be driven around again. So in addition to those 3 basic upgrades, I think you start with 2 random upgrades. I think it's always 2. So we started with Lure, which is on Brandon. You can see it's a limited use item. We've got 6 of 6. I used one on the last ship, but you're able to pick it back up if it doesn't get attacked. And basically that just draws, I think it's Brutes and Swarm, will attack a lure if they see it, rather than your drones. Patrol bots will ignore it, and slime just kind of grows without. It's a mindless entity, and does not attack you. It just grows, and if you touch it, you get damaged. And so the other upgrade we started with was interface, which is really powerful. It's got a couple of uses. So once you power up a terminal, you can go interface with it with your interface upgrade. This allows you to do something called ship scan, which immediately scans every single room that's powered at the moment, and it will show you, so even if you haven't been in those rooms, it'll show you if they have power inlets, if they have other terminals, if they have defense turrets, if they have scrap, if they have dead or disabled drones, if they have enemy vents. It'll show you, it gives you a very good idea of where you need to be looking and what rooms you can kind of ignore. It won't show you enemies, because nothing will actually show you enemies. Or at least nothing will show you enemies in a foolproof way. Kind of the point of the game is that you have to figure out ways to, explore these rooms in a safe way. And even the few upgrades that allow you to fight things, they're kind of limited use. So it's generally better to try to either avoid things or use the ship against use the ship's defenses, or use the airlocks to kill your enemies. Or you can just trap them in a room that's useless to you. So interface, aside from ship scan, it also allows you to turn on or turn off the ship defenses, which is useful. And I think it allows you to do one other thing, and I can't for the life of me remember what it is right now. But I'm sure we'll get to that. So we've boarded one ship. We're in orbit around another ship right now. This is the one we're about to board. So there's different classes of ships. You'll see private, space station, military, tech, and barge. And you'll see they all have a letter after them. So the letter is the size of the ship. An A ship is the largest, which military A, and we just came off of space station A. D is the smallest. A D ship will only have maybe 5 rooms on it, whereas an A ship can have 20, maybe even 25 rooms on it. So you're much more likely to find things on an A-sized ship. The class, tech or private or barge or whatever, that kind of tells you what kinds of things you can expect to find on a ship. A military ship is more likely to have defense turrets that you can use. Space station is more likely to have fuel, I think the developer has said. Private and barge, I'm not sure. There's also a salvage ship that I think is more likely to give you drones, either disabled or dead drones. And tech ships are more likely to have ship upgrades and ship upgrade slots. So we have 2 slots, but we don't have any ship upgrades yet. You don't start the game with any, and you have to find them. So we're going to go ahead and dive onto this private class ship. We can see there's only one infestation type. That means only one of the 4 enemy types is on the ship. So it can be any of those 4 types, but as soon as we see one enemy, we know that that's the only type of enemy that's on the ship. Age tells you how likely it is to have radiation. So this one's volatile, it's a little bit unstable. We previously were on a stable ship, but I think it can get worse than volatile, just maybe not in this easy starting galaxy. Distance shows you how many jumps you are away, or how much propulsion fuel you'd have to use to get there. We're in orbit around this one, so it's 0. We just came from one that was 2. Which means we started with 6 propulsion fuel. So the way fuel works in this game is you would use all your propulsion fuel within the system. So we'll do this ship that we're on right now. We'll probably go to G next using 1 more fuel. We'll go to the auto trader at the end to try to buy or sell some upgrades, get something good, and then if we've picked up any extra propulsion fuel on the way, we'll take a trip out to, I think it's U, And so then we'll be out of propulsion fuel. That's when you make a jump to the next system. Making a jump will reset your propulsion fuel to 6, and you can see here this +0. Any extra propulsion fuel you find does not carry, or it carries over, it follows you if you don't use it, but it doesn't replenish when you jump. So jump fuel is much more valuable than propulsion fuel in general. And then scrap, like I said, is our currency. We've only got 4 right now, because we're only 1 ship into the game. But let's actually call it there, and I will make a new episode for the boarding.